topic is open today. Yep, people get to ask me questions. Yeah, people get to ask me questions, and I will attempt to answer.
Of Representatives, there are 257 who are Democrats. Only 177 are Republicans. In the Senate, there are 67 Democrats. Only 33 are Republicans. The party that you back controls 2/3 of the House of Representatives and the Senate, and still they can't keep their promise to you, because you're a chump. Anytime you throw your weight behind a political party that controls 2/3 of the government, and that party can't keep the promise that it made to you during election time, and you're dumb enough to walk around continuing to identify yourself with that party, you're not only a chump, but you're a traitor to your race.
Hey, what's happening, family? It's your man, Mark Black. Happy Hump Day to all of you. I am glad to have you here with me today, joining me for this live broadcast. We're doing something a little different today, so please make sure to share this one, because I'm certain that this is a broadcast that quite a few people wish I had done previous times before. Normally, I set the topic, I set the tone, although this is our broadcast, our channel. I set the things that we discuss. But today is all about you. You get to set the topic. You get to ask the questions. So let me set some ground rules before we get started. First of all questions are open. You don't have to like my answers, but I will answer every question asked. If there gets to be quite a few questions, or you really want to answer, have a question answered in case I might miss it, hit the super chat. Doesn't have to be much. It just highlights it and lets me know that you're asking a question, so I can make sure to answer that question immediately, right? So there is that. Before we get started though, and I'm also going to open up the phone lines right away too. Fam, I can only take one call at a time, so it's first come, first serve. And please, if you're listening, try to let me finish a question before you call in and, kind of take over the discussion with your call. I appreciate it. It's just courtesy, right? So without further ado, let me greet everybody. Darker Visions is on the road. Be safe, fam. I see you. Happy Hump Day to you. Miss Denny is in the house. It's been a bit. Glad to see her in the house. Welcome back, Miss Denny. Let's see here. I love it, Kinky, right away with the super chat and the donation. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for that. By the way, I love it, Kinky. You didn't ask the question, but the software I use to broadcast, open broadcasting software, allows you to insert music files so that when you're on a scene, so to speak, which is like my beginning piece, the first 5 minutes, I let people kind of roll in. I have music playing just to give you something to kind of listen to, give you something to do before you wait for the broadcast, right? So that's how I have broadcast music live during my streams, just so you get a heads up. Shout out to Sister Tiffany. Happy Hump Day to you and welcome to the broadcast. Brother Clarence is in the house. Peace, fam. I see you. Hey, Vita. Peace. I love you. Oh, okay. Got you. Thank you, Vita. All right. So, fam, Without further ado, the first question that was asked was by Darker Visions. He asked me, "Who's my favorite Star Trek captain?" And I've thought long and hard about this one as a nerd, right? So uh, I'm torn. I'm torn between Jean Luc and Janeway. I like them both. I think they're both my favorite captains, but for different reasons, right? Jean Luc was very measured, reasoned, and to me, it seemed like he was the quintessential epitome of what the mission of the Enterprise was all about, which was exploration. A lot of people see the Enterprise going in and blowing shit up, and it's the flagship of the fleet. And they never remembered that Starfleet was about learning, about exploring, about seeing new things, going, to where no one has gone before, you know what I mean? And boldly exploring. And I thought that Jean Luc really embodied that ethos as captain of the Enterprise. Um, and as far as Janeway goes, I just like the fact that Janeway was sort of like the glue that held these two disparate groups together, right? Because if you remember the premise of Voyager, they weren't all Starfleet. Some of them were actually, these pirates, the Maquis. And she was able to take these two disparate groups and bring them together. And I've always found that to be valuable, something that I enjoy personally. I try all the time to bring us together, right? So I admire her for that. So I'm kind of torn. I really like both Jean Luc as well as Catherine Janeway, right? Jean Luc Picard and Catherine Janeway. Those are my two favorite Starfleet captains in Star Trek. By the way, shout out to Black Magic. Peace, love, and black power to you. And John Anderson, I see you, fam. Peace. Right? So there's the first question, fam. Um, Ask away. No question is off the table. You can do it via chat. You can call in, right? One of the things that I've been paying attention to lately, of course, is politics, because I always pay attention to politics. And all the polls are saying that Biden is leading by double digits, right? But if you noticed over the last month or so, the gap in those polls have been closing. Most of the major polls now are showing what I would consider within the margin of error, a reasonable dead heat. So for all of you that were thinking that Jim Crow Joe is a shoe-in, yeah, you may find yourself with a surprise in November. Miss Denny, thank you for the donation, the super chat. She said I'm gonna let that read out and then I'm gonna answer it. And Tiffany, I'm gonna get to your question too. So I'm gonna let Miss Denny's thing read out. Vita, you'll like this.
With all the wonderful solutions that you have given us, my question is, high in the world will we get all 39 million and on one accord?
Good question. Good question. Nope, I got you, Miss Denny. Don't worry about the typo. So Miss Denny's question is, how do we get all of the people that share our lineage on one accord, right? And I'm always about solutions. Any of my angry black sheep, which by the way, if you are not an angry black sheep, go ahead and click the subscribe button. Don't cost you nothing, right? But I'm very solution oriented, right? I'm all about trying to figure out what we can do to immediately make our lives better as the descendants of the enslaved here in the United States. Miss Denny's question is an important one, and I have an answer, but I don't think that you guys will like it. And my answer is that we don't. There is probably no real way short of a cataclysm. And when I say cataclysm, fam, I mean Yellowstone erupting or, multiple hurricanes destroying great swathes of the United States all at once. I'm talking about something massive, cataclysmic, life altering that will bring all of us on one accord. And the reason why I say that is really simple, fam. The fact is that there are some of us, not insubstantial number of us that are relatively comfortable under this system, right? They've taken the bloodshed, the sacrifice of our ancestors, and they've parlayed it into a degree of individual success. And so when you go to them and you point to the least of these, right? You point to the brother and sister that's still trying to get it out of the mud, right? The concrete flowers, they don't hear you. They figure because they got it, that you can get it. And so because of that, that person is essentially lost. It would literally take them losing everything before they would even consider aligning, adhering to, coming to support their lineage, right? But it gets worse than that. In point of fact, there are a not insubstantial number of us who still seek to, for lack of a better way to say it, integrate into the larger system. Now, don't get me wrong, I do want the fullest expression of my citizenship as an American, right? I want all the opportunities and all the rights and all the capabilities that every American citizen has. But I do not want to be white people. I think that our people make shitty white people. And I have no desire whatsoever to emulate them, to seek their approval, to be about them. But a good number of our people, due to our acculturation and due to the inculturation of whites to maintain white supremacy, make getting close to them, integrating with them, a goal that these outside and outcast groups are able to glom onto. I'll give you a case in point. Look at how immigrants from other countries come here and insert themselves into the racial hierarchy, into the racial dynamic. I have come to start calling POC pets of Caucasians. And I do mean that both as a derogatory and as a descriptive. They are literally the satellites of white supremacy. They orbit white supremacy. They will never actually land on white supremacy. They will never actually be white, except maybe Latins, right? Latinos, Hispanics. And that's because they, a lot of them that migrate here is really white anyway. You got very few mestizos and indios, right? Those are mixed Spanish and Indian and Indians who have the resources to be able to come here and be able to survive here, right? So anybody that comes here that's able to make a real way for themselves, for the most part, is already white folks. And so they already, included in. Look at the white Cubans that immigrated from Cuba after Castro took over and so on and so forth for more of what I'm saying. But they all come here and they understand that the closer they're able to orbit the sphere of white supremacy, the more success they're going to have. Now, what does that mean for us as the outcasts? Well, it's simple. They act as barriers, as buffers. So no matter how much effort we make, no matter how we dress, how we speak, how educated we are, the resources we're able to gather, because we have been designated outcasts, we can never even get close to white supremacy. We can't even orbit it properly. You dig? Not like these buffer classes, these buffer groups. So because of the desire to basically become black skinned white supremacists, and the fact that there are people that just are comfortable and about themselves, there's no way to really get all of us on board. What I have said in the past and what I say today is the same. Find the people among us that want what you want for them, right? That want justice, that want righteousness, that want morality, that wants peace, that wants our due, and unite with them. and then the rest of them, you're going to have to consign them to the outer darkness or forget about them. You can't even worry about them. So I hope that answers that question for you, Ms. Dean. I know I took some time with it, but I wanted to treat it with the gravity it deserved. Tiffany said, do I believe that the NFAC is a positive for the black community? Yes and no. Do I believe that the NFAC is a positive for the black community? I'll answer the yes first. Yes, I do. I believe that we should all be ready at a moment's notice to jump out there with our various apparati, right? You know, our various tools, tool up and handle business. And I don't want us to be fucking around when we do it, right? So not fucking around. I'm with that. I'm definitely with that. For me, as far as Grandmaster Jay, the jury's still out. I don't tend to subscribe to the need necessarily for leaders. I believe that all of you are capable, given the circumstances, to be leaders of what it is that we're trying to do, of the places that we're trying to go. This battlefield is so broad that there's literally room for everybody to kind of get on board, get in where they fit in, and lead where they are.
With all the geopolitics that you have studied, neither of the pundits are good for us. What is our best strategy to get your due with their own?
Good question. I'll make sure to answer it. So, I believe that us arming ourselves, defending ourselves at a moment's notice, not once, not twice, but each and every time there's an injustice or an incident, us being willing to fight and burn this motherfucker down if need be to get what it is that we need to get, I think is a great thing. I don't know how to feel personally about Grandmaster Jay, right? Some people admire the man. Some people think he's an agent. I'm not going to get into that fight. I will say that time will tell when it comes to him. And it is best always when you're a part of an organization or group to keep your head on a swivel for changes, especially in the leadership realm. So I hope, sister, that answers that question for you. Let's see here. Ms. Diddy said, with all the geopolitics you have studied, neither of the... I think, do you mean the presidential candidates? Because you used pundits. Pundits are people who analyze and pontificate on various matters. I'm assuming you're referring to Jim Crow Joe and traitorous Trump. Clarify that for me, Ms. Denny. But to continue your question, what is our best strategy to get our due with the Ronas? That's a tough question. And it's not tough because it's hard per se. How we get our due essentially is the same, in my humble opinion, right? In order to really understand the answer to that question, all you would have to do is to simply study history, right? Eventually, we're going to have a reckoning, a confrontation, a mass confrontation with America. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean with guns or bombs or anything like that. But in order for us to be able to move this country hard enough to ensure that our due is paid, that the debt is paid, it is going to take large swathes of us all pressing for the same thing and willing to do anything to get it. And when I say anything, that's up to and including the guns, bombs, etc. Right? I'm not saying I want us to do that, but I'm saying that can't be an option that's off the table. None of the options that we have available should be discarded by anybody, right? I'll give you a case in point. You remember when Micah X. Johnson allegedly shot and killed all of those police officers in Dallas, right? The American Pale Stream media had us, or tried to get us to decry his actions, right? To try to get us to deny the righteousness of his actions. But I never will. I believe that he chose the route that he felt was most effective in what he was capable of doing in order to move the needle. Mr. Neely Fuller talks about victims guaranteed qualification. And what this essentially means is this. I do, as a victim of white supremacy, you as a victim of white supremacy, I don't have the right to decide how it is that you combat or you deal with white supremacy. In other words, if you choose to send an email, I can only observe. If you choose to pick up the phone, I can only observe. If you choose to run for office, I can only observe. If you choose to pick up the gun or the bomb or whatever, I can only observe. I am not allowed by code to make any declaration, negative or otherwise, about the route you choose or the efforts you make or the path you take to combat this injustice that we face. And I think that if we actually focused on that a lot more, it would make our interactions with each other a lot easier. Because a lot of the time we end up atomizing and blowing each other apart because we don't agree with a particular tactic or a particular strategy. There was a whole host of people that tried to get me to say, F ADOS because of the Democratic down ballot strategy. I made it clear that I don't agree with the strategy. I'm not voting for the Democrats. I never have and I never will, right? And I have a platform, so I was able to kind of speak out on that. But abandon Yvette and Antonio, abandon all of the people that align with them simply because I disagree with a particular tactic? Fuck no. No way. They are my brothers and sisters, my tribes people. Their efforts are my efforts. I back their efforts regardless of whether I think they're efficacious or not 100%. And if you notice, I don't even talk about Democratic down ballot anymore. I don't mention it. That's their strat. I'm with it. If they think it'll work, go for it. That's where I'm at. Our best strategy is every strategy. Every option should be on the table to get our due, leading up to a mass movement, a mass reckoning. There has to be a come to Jesus moment with America between us and it. And will there be a cost? Yes. We will pay, but they will pay too. Or we will have no problem making sure that they have to eliminate us. It's as simple as that. That's the strategy. It remains the same regardless of whichever president gets into office or whichever politician gets elected. That strategy remains the same. To force the day of a mass reckoning between our tribe and the United States of America. That's how we get it done. Vita says some people believe their strategy is the only strategy. True. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you've watched me or how, if you're, a part of the group, you're part of the herd. But one of the things I often say is when people ask me questions, I say, I have an answer. Notice the phraseology. I have an answer. Because I have to take into account the possibility that I'm wrong. That my statement may not be the answer. And to also allow room for flexibility for other ideas to come into this thing that might be vastly better than anything I thought about. You have to allow for flexibility. You have to allow for change. One of the things you learn when I was in the Army, one of the first things I learned when I was in boot is that no plan survives first contact with the enemy. You can have a whole plan laid out. You can say, okay, you guys are going to lateral over here. You're going to flank the enemy over here, hit them from these grid coordinates over here. We're going to send in air support from over here. Blah, say, skibbity, woo, woo. The moment you have first contact with the enemy, all that shit goes out the window. It's there just as historical reference because you have to take into account what's happening on the ground. You have to take into account new information, new movements. Sometimes the enemies will run. They'll fall back to a fallback position. You got to account for that. And you have to know what to do when they fall into a fallback position. Or you may get in position and they flanked you. You need to know how to maneuver out of that particular situation. But if your plan is so hard and fast that it allows for no flexibility, no change, this is the plan, the strategy, you're humped before you ever even get into the fight. What's up, Tablet? I see you, fam. Welcome to the broadcast. Happy Hump Day to you. Today, ask me anything. You can call in and ask. Number is 425-296-1980. It's right there on the screen, right? And all questions, all topics, it's open season. You can ask me anything. You can talk about anything. Big Unc, what's good, fam? I see you. Happy Hump Day to you and welcome to the broadcast. If you have a question you really want me to make sure to address, go ahead and hit the super chat. Otherwise, I'll just be catching them as either the calls come in or as they pop up in the chat. And by the way, if you haven't shared this on your social media, please do so. It's more important now than it ever usually is because a brother's in Twitter jail. I've been in Twitter jail now for like a week. And I really don't miss Twitter as bad as I thought I would. That's a damn shame. But it is a good way for me to let people know that I'm broadcasting and I don't have the capability to do that. So, yeah. B1, Black Capricorn from Milwaukee. I see you, fam. Welcome to the broadcast and happy Hump Day. So, the floor is yours. Questions? Hey, I'm glad you're here, Vita. Make sure you become an angry black sheep if you haven't done so. We would love to have you as a part of the herd. But yeah, the floor is y'all's. Any question, any topic. Let me go back through the chat here. Tiffany said Grandmaster J only leads the NFAC, which is a militia group. Yep, Grandmaster J does lead the NFAC. And again, I support militias 100%. Period. They have theirs, we have ours. It's no question. To me, it should be an obvious thing, right? I am 47. This is an easy question to answer. Yeah, I'm 47. 47 of the damnedest. And this world ain't got me yet. You know, Tiffany, another thing too about the NFAC that I support 100% is if there seems to be an emphasis on training. Right? It seems to be an emphasis on training, which is what Big Unc is talking about. Big Unc said, from what little I caught, Brother Mark, you were talking about what was taught to me is OODA, which stands for Observe, Orient, Decide, and Attack. Facts. Absolutely. But notice, fam, observation is first. You know, for all the smoke that Yvette and Antonio get as the heads of the ADOS movement, if you look at how they operate, especially early on, back in like late 2018, early 2019, that was exactly how they operate. The first thing they did was they observed the political ground space, looking at who's saying what. And then Yvette would do a broadcast about it, or Tone would do a broadcast about it to get everybody on the same page, oriented in the same direction. She would then, or he would then suggest a course or a plan of action, usually to go and get these motherfuckers, right? And then boom, they got them. And that's how you have to maneuver in every space, especially with us being on our back foot. Being on the bottom cast, you have to measure twice and cut once, because we don't get do-overs. As the bottom cast is the Dalits of America, we don't get do-overs. You make a mistake as a member of my tribe, as a member of my lineage, that mistake means that if you do survive it, you find yourself amongst a group known as the living dead, where you're alive, But just that, as far as any type of life goes, you can hang it up. So we don't get do-overs. We have to observe. We have to make sure that we all agree on what we see. We then have to decide on a plan of action, and then we have to execute. Vita asks, what do I think about Black Americans divesting from the public school system? It's something we should have done fucking forever ago. And it's more is the pity that we haven't. Because we can see the evidence in the younger generations of our lack of attentiveness to their education. We can see the evidence. Fam, they don't even teach our children to read and write cursive script. You know, personalized English script. They don't read that. They can't read it. They don't understand it. They don't even know how to write it. Because according to the people that developed the curricula, everything is in block script due to computers. So there's no point in teaching cursive. But what did we learn by learning how to write in cursive? We didn't just learn how to write flowing in various different types of scripts. We learned about grammar. We learned about sentence construction. We learned how to actually communicate with each other. I remember when I was 18, when I went to Booth, I didn't call my mother. I didn't have the chance to most of the time. I didn't jump on the phone. Plus, back in 92, long distance calls were still expensive as a motherfucker. I wrote my mother. I took pen to paper and wrote my thoughts on that paper and used that paper to communicate to my mother. Our children don't even write to each other. If you take away their capability to text, to be able to send text to emails, I don't even think they would think how to communicate. And if you think that that's just a byproduct, you'd be mistaken. That's by design. How do you think they were able to keep our ancestors under the thumb? Because they control how we communicated on the plantations. So we developed stuff like, different verbal languages to be able to teach each other how to communicate in English. Yes, the slaves developed a language that they used to speak to each other that taught the other slaves how to read. But I'll do a broadcast on that at another time. Yes, we should leave the public school system alone completely. And Vita, here's another thing that I would like to see us do. Since they're pushing us.
I'll bite. Why are you in Twitter jail? LOL.
I'll answer that, Adric, I promise you. But while we're talking about it, Vita, one other thing that I would like to see us do, because part of the reason why black folk, why us, the descendants of slaves, haven't actually divested from public schools is because we don't have the resources. Well, with the Republicans pushing everybody towards charter schools, basically gathering up the school district is just a bank at this point for the Republicans. They get the funding, but they distribute that funding to private schools. Black people need to be taking advantage of that. That's not to say we agree with charter schools or disagree with it. I don't care if you agree with it or disagree with it. But that's how the winds are blowing, right? So if the school districts are distributing money so that you can open your own schools, right? So that you can develop your own curricula, so that you can take care of your own students, you can hire the people from the neighborhood so that they're not having to go out and try to figure out how to get daycare for their children, right? While they work. They will work at the same school that their kids attend as janitorial staff, security staff, lunch people, administrators, and so on and so forth, right? Let us take advantage of some of the ways that we've been thinking, or at least that we've been told to think, are negative to us, right? The Democrats say, oh, charter schools are horrible. Well, no, because you have to look at the data. There are many charter schools that our black children go to that are oriented towards our children to talk about our heroes, our history, our stuff. And it takes into account how our children learn through visual and kinesthetic learning rather than sitting there lecturing to them all day. And our children do 1,000 times%. I'm making up that number, by the way, so don't hold me to that. But they do thousands of times better in these so-called charter schools that the Dems have told us we supposed to not want. We supposed to not support that. But when we have public schools, we got public schools where our kids can get heat, where their lunches is subpar, and then they end up in debt having to pay for lunches and shit. No. The Republicans say take the damn school district administration out of it. You should be able to run your school how you want to run your school. All they should do is just give you the money. Why ain't black folk taking advantage of that? And yes, charter schools pick their students, and I say good. Absolutely good. Our kids actually need an opportunity to be chosen. Sister Alma, I remember when I was a boy, and we go on to the playground. You dig? And somebody said, okay, we playing dodgeball. I didn't get picked for dodgeball a lot. You know why? 2 reasons. 1, because I was a fat kid, made a big ass target. And 2, because I was a fat kid, people didn't think I had speed. I wasn't fast. So I didn't get chosen. But you know what? When there were other things, I did get chosen for those things. And I was able to find out what I liked, what I was good at. Not to mention the fact it feels good to be select. It feels good to be chosen. When your kid goes to a school that they really want to go to, holy shit, you can't keep them in the house. In the morning they're like, Mama, get up, get up. It's time for me to go to school. How many black families get to see that? Where their kids is excited to go to school. Where they come home and they talk your damn ear off for an hour after they get home about all the stuff they learned, about who taught it to them. Mama, Daddy, let me tell you something. Today in class, Mr. Black, he was so awesome. He taught us about this, and we learned about bullfrogs, and then we learned about factorials. We don't have that. Where did we get this idea as black folk that choice is a bad thing? I know that we fear rejection because we're the outcast of America. I mean, goddamn. Having options, having the ability to both choose and be chosen is nothing but a good thing. Nothing but. Because even as this fat little dumpy kid that everybody thought was slow, all it took was one opportunity. All somebody had to do was choose me once for me to be able to prove them wrong. Which is good for my esteem. Not to mention the fact that it elevated my esteem amongst my peers. Oh shit, that fat motherfucker can run. Did you see how he jumped over that ball when dude threw it at him? Yo. Then I don't have to worry about it no more. Now I get chosen all the time because I'm the surprise. I'm the brother they didn't see coming. That shit has got a smile on my face right now. Imagine your children feeling like that every day when they go to school. Having a host, a range of options, educational options. Let me make sure that that's working. My bad. I thought that was let's see here. There we go. It should be working now. Sorry about that. Yeah, Taj, I told you Hump Day is back. What it do, black man? What it do? Happy Hump Day, fam. So, you know, I while I get, Alma, that they're selective about the students that they choose and stuff like that, right? Which is their right as a private school. I believe that even still can be a benefit to our children, right? I believe our children should have the opportunity to learn to choose as well as to be chosen. There's lessons in both being able to choose as well as being chosen and being selected. I would love for our children to have more opportunities to be picked, to be selected, for somebody to point at them and say, I want them. It is good for their esteem. Let me answer your first question, Adrique.
Not a debate, but what about the teachers' union? We were once represented as teachers.
That's a good question. Good question, and I'm going to address that one. But let me address your first question. I'm in Twitter jail because there was some black folk on Twitter who was talking about Jim Crow Joe Biden was going to be able to be moved once he was elected into office. And I quoted, I'll even read you the tweet. This is the tweet that they said was threatening or threatened bodily harm. I responded, Negro, please. Biden will tear gas you. Hold up a second here. And do as he likes after y'all make him king. What's up, fam? Calling from 323. It's your man, Mark Black. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's on your mind?
It's Vita.
Vita, what's good, sis? Talk to me.
Man, you speaking my language. I didn't know you was going to be like right on point. I mean, I'm going to be on point, but not right on point with my vision of education. I've been saying that same thing about utilizing the charter and private school system as a way for it to benefit us.
Absolutely.
One of the huge problems I have with the Democrats is that they make us believe that their interests are our interests. Right?
Boom!
So,
oh my God!
So because their interest is saving the public school system, I honestly don't give a shit about the public school system. I hope it's ultimately destroyed. That's
Facts.
what I believe, right?
Facts.
I think school is the worst place for a black child because people try to say the prison system is. I think the school system is because it leads right to the prison system. Either that, or you end up with low-paid work, or you go to college and end up in $50,000 worth of debt.
Absolutely.
But my issue with the Democrats is that they're telling us that the public school system needs to be saved. We've got to make sure we get more white kids into the schools with our kids. All these stupid things they keep telling us without pointing out the fact that their system has been fucking us over since the beginning of its institution, right? If we look at the Republicans' idea and what it is that they want to do as far as the charter school, I'm not saying I like the Republicans. I don't fuck with none of these people. But what is coming forward that we can benefit from? How do we strategize? If this is what they're saying, is there a way that we can make charter schools benefit us? Yes. Here in LA, we have a school called Marcus Garvey. It's a private black-owned school. Pretty much all black staff. All black staff, all black students. That's where Nipsey Hussle's daughter was going. A lot of black, and that's in South Central, right on Slauson.
That's what's up.
Schools like that. Yeah, there are charter schools. In fact, I know for a fact there's a black guy with an independent charter school program, and he's trying to get more black men to create charter schools. That's happening here in LA.
You know what, sister? It just hit me. I know who you are. I follow you on Twitter. You my dog. I love everything you post on Twitter. You ever notice I always got a comment for you?
I do.
Well, this is your man right here, live and in the flesh. Now you see me like I saw you. But sister, I think you're spot on, and as usual, because you always are killing the game. But I think you're absolutely spot on with this. We don't have to give a fuck about the Republicans as a whole, as a party, in order to take advantage of whatever advantageous platforms, stratagems, policies that they lay down. In other words, sis, fuck the D or the R. We about the ideas. What can we do that immediately betters our children, our families, our communities, and ultimately us as a tribe? That should be the measuring stick, the yardstick by which we gauge everything, regardless of where the idea comes from. You were talking about, sister, how their school system had fucked us over from the beginning. If you look at the beginnings of the American school system, you'll see why. because the American school system wasn't actually developed in America. The American school system was stolen from the Germans or the Prussians, right? The Prussian school system. It was taken from the Austro-Hungarian, German, Prussian Empire, right? And the reason why it was instituted in their empire was to create nationalism. It was there to take disparate groups in their empire and make them into one mass, all thinking the same thing, all teaching the same thing, all practicing the same thing, right? It was about homogeneity. It was about integration. It was not about taking care of people, individual differences, looking at people's individual styles. As a matter of fact, exactly, Easy Be Easy in the chat said that kindergarten is a German word. And it literally means, in German, a garden of children. Kinder means children in German, and Garten is garden, like it is in English. It's a cognate. So kindergarten is a compound German word that means a garden of children. Well, what do we do with gardens, sister? We raise them up, and then we reap them, don't we?
Right. And the other thing is, and I'll hop off your show, but the other thing is that the purpose of the school system in America was created to assimilate, right? So that's why it had to be militarized. That's why everybody does the same type of curriculum across the country or across the state, right? You have pretty much the same textbook, right? So let's also talk about this. The fact that you learn no single truths about yourself, but every single lie about your oppressor. Nobody ever points out that part of the educational system. You have been taught that Shakespeare is the greatest writer in the world. You have no clue if that's true, but you were told that. You're taught to admire white people from day one. Day one, George Washington I learned about, Thomas Jefferson I learned about, right? And then people say, well, Black History Month might even have some posters on the wall of some black people. But most of the time, we don't go in depth into their movement. Like, I didn't know how big Marcus Garvey's movement was growing up.
Facts. Look, it wasn't until I was an adult that I learned about the UNIA. The UNIA was 20 million strong. 20 million black folk. To put that into perspective, sister, we're what? They say as of the last census that we're around 37, 38 million. If you talk about the children of the enslaved, right? The descendants of the enslaved. 20 million in 1920. We were about maybe 24 million strong then, which means that unless you were a little baby wearing diapers and couldn't understand what Marcus Garvey was talking about, you fucked with the UNIA heavy. How do you think he was able to? He put out a notice saying, I'm gonna buy a fleet. And he was able to fund that shit off of black money in the nadir of race relations, when we were being lynched daily, when Jim Crow was at its worst. You understand where I'm coming from? He was able to raise $10 million from black money in the nadir of race relations. The worst this country ever did us short of slavery. But they don't want you to know that. They'll mention like Ida B. Wells Barnett, during Black History Month. As a matter of fact, I used to go to a school called Ida B. Wells. It was named after our sister Ida B. Wells. But what they won't tell you is that Ida B. Wells risked her life to get factual information about the lynchings that were happening to our people all over the country. And it was quoted. A direct quote of hers is saying the Winchester rifle should have the place of honor in every black household to deliver us the justice that this system will not. They will never tell you about that Ida B. Wells, but we need to be telling our children about that Ida B. Wells. You dig? Right? So the fact is that I agree 100%. Get our kids the fuck.
It makes it difficult for people in the community to create their own schools. They're trying to get rid of the anti-vaxxers. So they because what happens, people who don't vaccinate their kids can't enroll their kids into school. So they start trying to create alternative
home programs. Maybe there's a person you pay in the community and they teach all the kids, right?
Yep.
Well, government's getting rid of all that. So because they don't want the anti-vaxxers to win. However, that ultimately hurts Black people who want to create their own school systems within their neighborhoods. So people are trying to do that here in South Central. You know, they want to hire a teacher and then have the teacher, you know, work with all the kids in the neighborhood or whatever. And then with all these laws, it makes it difficult. They have laws like it has to be for a certain amount of hours and a certain space, and some of the rules don't make sense for what people are trying to do with their kids' education. So yeah, so that's the other thing. They're trying to like work against a lot of Black families. So it's important not to just like, oh, well, I don't like anti-vaxxers either. Fuck the anti-vaxxers. What laws they putting in place and telling you it's for your benefit?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree 100%. But you know what? It comes back to, sister, that emotionalism that our people is prone to, right? It's real easy to get us caught up in our feelings, right? And so when we get there, our rational brains are turned off. And plus, because many of us seek some sort of rapprochement or integration or rapport with white supremacy, we don't tend to ask the real hard questions that we need to be
Public
asked.
education system is very faulty besides private education.
You know, so I agree with you 100%, sister. Thank you so much for your contribution to the broadcast. You know you're welcome to call in anytime, and I love you. Fam, YouTube is trying to do a number on us today, especially we must be getting into some good shit. Now, Adric asked me, he said, not a debate, but what about the teachers union? We were once represented as teachers. I say, fuck the teachers union. I think we should go against them ourselves, because the teachers union is actually one of the greatest weapons that these subpar ass white teachers have to keep fucking with our children, right? You got 22, 23, 24-year-old white women teaching a class full of Black people, and you wonder why we can't get past white supremacy. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. You got to break. But you know what, though, fam? I'm going to take it a step further, Adric. I believe that all of these current unions we need to break. And I know that sounds like I'm a rabid Republican right now, so let me clarify what it is that I mean, fam. What I mean is this. Those unions literally don't represent us. We don't have any representation, any strong representation in these current unions, right? So I say break them and then force them to deal with us, right? These unions got to go. The teachers union, the police unions, all of these motherfuckers. They're the ones, the unions are the ones that are given the power to subpar, defective, molesty ass teachers. The police unions are the ones given the ability for these murderous, rapist pigs to come into our neighborhood and assault us, kill us, beat us, occupy us. Nah, if we gonna beat the police, fuck defunding the police. Defund the motherfucking unions. Break the backs of those police unions. If we want to be able to do something in education that's going to benefit our children, we got to break the motherfucking teachers unions. We got to break them. They got to go down, period. Once upon a time in this country, unions had an opportunity to be able to represent all Americans. There was a movement early in the 20th century, the populist movement, where whites and blacks unified to be able to push forward agendas that were beneficial. But that was quickly splintered off. They gave the whites, you know, their little hunky trinkets, and they immediately turned around and fucked us up to keep their hunky trinkets. So, nah, these unions got to be broken. As a matter of fact, fam, the construction unions now are being taken over mostly by immigrants. That's one of the greatest weapons and tools they have as a buffer to be able to keep us, blue-collar brothers and sisters from prosperity. It's through the laborers union, the cement masons union, the iron workers union, and so there's only a few unions left that you could say is still predominantly white. Like, I take the iron workers back. Iron workers are still predominantly white. Operating engineers and shit like that still predominantly white. But glazers are almost all immigrant. Cement masons are almost all immigrant. These unions used to be an opportunity for a brother to be able to earn a decent wage, to take care of a family, to own a home, to have a vehicle, to have money in the bank. Not no more. That's been handed to them. They all have to be busted. The AFL-CIO, the IBEW, the NEA, what's it? Fraternal Order of Police, the FOP, all of them. They all need to go. Not because collective bargaining and being able to look after the rights of workers is a bad thing. Not at all. I'm not anti-union. I'm anti these unions. You get me? They all need to go. The AFL-CIO was corrupt way back in the day. How do you think that the mafia was able to use construction and transportation to fund its criminal enterprises? Because they owned the AFL-CIO. Jimmy Hoffa and all the rest of them. Come on now. And trust me, they was letting in, you know what I mean, Tony Rotini off the block, taking him from nothing to a great job with benefits and all that other shit, but was leaving Jerome trying to get it from the mud. You feel me? So fuck these unions. These current unions, they gotta go. They gotta go. And then we have a chance to actually rebuild from the ground up and focus on workers' rights, collective bargaining, and so on and so forth. But don't even ask me what I think about capitalism, fam. But that was a great topic. Sister Vita brought it with the education piece. Let me see if there's any more questions in the chat. Anybody got a question? Ask me anything, fam. All bets is off. Anything you ever wanted to hear Brother Black talk about, anything that you ever wanted to ask me about, whether personal, political, religious, I don't care, don't matter. All questions are on the table. The lines is open. You can call in and talk to a brother. 425-296-1980 is the number. Get at me. By the way, let me shout out to Brother Brandon. I see you, fam. Easy Be Easy's in the house. Double Cease, I see you, fam. Welcome to the broadcast. A happy hump day to you. Who's next up the bat? I know y'all got some questions. I know there's some topics, some things that y'all was wanting to raise with the brother that you want to get my view, my input on, my view on. Hit me up. Brandon, you used to battle the unions daily? Damn. Man, every union job I had was shit. As soon as the company say, oh, we don't like him, the union's like, oh, you gotta go. I never had a union once represent me in shit. Nothing. They have never helped me at all. And I've had at least, 2 or 3 union jobs? John, I'll get to your question, fam, but I'm gonna take this call first. I think this is Miss Denny. Hey, Miss Denny, what's cracking, sis?
How y'all doing? How you doing, Brother Mark?
Shout your people out. You know they've been missing you. Every broadcast I get a question. Where's Miss Denny at? Where she all right? How's she doing?
Well, peace family, peace Black Man 903, peace to Vita, peace to all of y'all. I love all of y'all. Thank y'all so much for all of your well wishes. I really appreciate it. And I'm still battling, but you know, nothing can really keep me down. You know what it is. That's what's up. All right, Miss Denny, the floor is yours. Damn you. What's the question? So I only watched broadcasts. I was interested in this broadcast that I watched. It was referring to a marriage, corporate marriage.
Yep.
Marriage between more than 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought that was interesting because, you know, you're always told either through propaganda or through your parents to seek for marriage, but to seek for marriage with just your soulmate, your one true, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it always seems interesting to me that you could be married to more than one person. I know that love is limitless, but how can you make a 3 or 4 person marriage work, where there's no, there's no jealousy, there's no, I don't know, there's no bad feelings.
I hear you. So if I understand your question, basically you asking me, why do I advocate for corporate or group marriage, and how do you address the emotional piece of it?
Correct. That's what I'm asking.
Okay. If you want to stay on while I answer, you can do that, or if you just want to go ahead and hang up and listen. Okay. So
I don't mind.
So basically, I advocate for corporate or group marriages for one simple fact. We need agglutination, cooperation. We need to come together, right? I don't give a fuck per se how we do it. Although marriage is one of the most common ways to bring groups of people together, right? But we need to come together. We need fewer families, but larger ones. Because somebody asked a question earlier, I believe it was you, Ms. Denny, about how do we get everybody on the same page?
Right. Yes,
right? Well, this actually ties into that. Because one of the things I've noticed is that among families all tend to think the same way. Like if you have, the matriarch is a Democrat, then everybody in the family is going to vote Democratic. Even though they probably like, libertarians or socialists or whatever the case may be, they're going to vote Democrat because grandma vote Democrat or grandpa vote Democrat, right? Families are one of the fastest and easiest ways to pass down information, practices, customs, and so on and so forth. Okay? So
social
one
mores,
way,
that kind of thing.
Well, I'm sorry, Ms. Denny.
I said social mores, that kind of
right,
thing.
Yeah, that just our culture is passed down through families, right? So now if you understand the power or the role that family plays in the creation of our people as a whole, then it makes sense that one way to bring mass numbers of us together is through family. In other words, you might be able to come against me on a particular topic or issue if you over here and I'm over here. But if we see ourselves as related, even if you vehemently disagree with me, you only gonna go so far in your disagreement. And because we're family, you're going to try to tend to find a place of commonality with me rather than just simply cut me off. One of the reasons why I'm glad to see that we are calling each other fam is not only because I think it's true. I think that the children of the enslaved, the descendants of the enslaved here in the United States, most of us are, in fact, related. But I think that it's a beautiful thing that acknowledges that, hey, with you, there are boundaries I will not cross. There are things that are for you that are not for anybody else. When I call you fam, I'm saying to you that I have a different way with you that I'm going to have with the whole rest of the world. So one of the reasons why I advocate for group marriages or corporate marriages is because of the connections. Just the simple fact of the ties. Now, the second reason why I advocate for it is because we, just like everything else we believe as a part of our acculturation, we have been acculturated to believe that marriage is about love. They tell us, you go to an island and Stella gets her groove back. She falls in love with, with the dude. And she brings him back and she lifts him up out the mud. And, and then they have their traumas, their trials, their fights. But ultimately it all works out because of love. Man, look, I'm of the mind of, Tina Turner. What the fuck does love got to do with it? That's not to say that.
I get that.
No, but here's the thing, Ms. Denny. I'm not saying that emotional ties and connections aren't important, right? But what I'm saying is that we need to start to really accurately measure the weight of importance of those things relative to other things. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. You were talking about jealousy, okay? Specifically, because that's a thing, right? If you've been acculturated to believe that your mate is your mate, you're possessive, you own them, right? They belong to you, then anybody else that has access to your mate is going to automatically kind of bring up feelings of jealousy, of betrayal, and so on and so forth, right? But the thing is that does your feelings about the matter mean more than the matter itself? In other words, yes, you can feel some kind of way. And I would see, like I said, I readily understand, given our current acculturation, why you would feel that way. But does your feelings then have a right to dictate what actually happens in the scenario? Because if we were tomorrow, let's say that I was able to wave a magic wand and tomorrow black people just started marrying each other in groups, 3-4 husbands, 3-4 wives, whatever. All right. And we started building these big corporate families. Okay. We now have to consider resources. We now have to consider the feeding and the caring of offspring and children. I'm sorry, but your feelings get trumped when it comes to some of the more important structural matters that go into marriage. In other words, Ms. Denny, it's not anybody's fault that you can't see past your acculturation enough to understand. I'm not talking about you specifically. I'm talking about people in general. It's not anybody's fault that you can't see past your acculturation enough to understand the clear benefits of larger, fewer, but bigger families. If I bring you the data, the information on how having just access to 2 parents immediately betters a child's opportunities in life, even as bottom caste. I'm talking about even us as the bottom caste. Having 2 parents immediately makes their life outcomes better. Well, if 2 are good, then 5 is better. Because what do you lose with the additional emotional stability, the additional opportunities for connection that child learns, the additional ideas of, hey, maybe I have family in other places that I don't even know about. So rather than going out into the world and looking at other black people with hostility, with looking at them as separate, they're now going out there looking to make connections. There's a whole host of benefits that come from a familial structure such as that. And the most important one to me is the fact that we've been acculturated against it. Remember, Ms. Denny, I tell you guys all the time, anything that white folk tell us is good for us is not.
It's bad for us.
It's bad for us, right? They tell us it's good to marry for love. You don't need to worry about rearing children. You don't need to worry about bringing together groups of people. You don't have to worry about resources. No, just it's all about who you love. The motherfuckers ain't marrying for that. White folks don't marry for that.
They don't. They're not married for that. They marry specifically for resources and to make more babies.
That's it. They marry for 2 reasons. One, to accumulate and conglomerate resources, and to make more little white kids. That's it. And if love is in there, that's a bonus. If you actually love the motherfucker you're married to, you lucked out. But love ain't got nothing to do with nothing. They'll find somebody to love. Hey, believe it or not, fam, it's you know what's really messed up to me about this whole corporate marriage or group marriage situation is that we actually have it but without the protections of marriage. Single motherhood has exploded in every ethnic or racial group in this country, right? So it ain't just black folk. White folks got single mothers, Asians got single mothers. Single motherhood is all over the place. Now, if there's a mother, I can guarantee you that there is a father somewhere, right? Now, what's happening is that they're making these offspring, but the mother has no protection of a marriage. The children have no protection of a marriage. The man has no protection of a marriage. So we basically already have corporate marriage already. We just don't have it with the benefits of it. We don't have it with any of the good shit. All we got is all the detriments. We got a bunch of kids out here who don't know who their parents are. We got a bunch of people that are atomized, they're blown apart. We have none of the benefits of the group shit that we're already doing, but we have all the detriments. And I say, why don't we just pick up the benefits? Because back in the day, that's kind of how it was done. Even though the laws say you can only marry one, hit a one in the chat if you had a grandfather, a great uncle, or whatever that y'all knew had a family across town, and he took care of that family too, right? He made sure them kids ate. He made sure that woman had a place to stay. You knew he had a family across town. And did anybody in the community say a motherfucking thing? Nope. It was none of their business. It was the biggest open secret, fam. That shit was the biggest open secret in our community. That oftentimes a brother, especially a brother that had some actual resources, had a decent job, had his own business, or whatever the case may be, had a whole entire side family. My father, great man. I never got a chance to meet him, but from what I've heard of him, great dude. My father, I have brothers and sisters I've never even got a chance to meet. I look forward maybe one day to meeting them. Not maybe, I actually would love to meet, right? And I don't hate on my father because he got, a family somewhere else, or, got another family. Them is more kinfolk for me. If I'm able to make a connection with more black people, that's a benefit for me, especially if they fam. Especially if they might have brothers and sisters. That's a bonus. I got more cousins that I don't even know about. Aunties and uncles that I don't know about. But see, if we just brought all this shit out into the open, said fuck what white society is talking about, and do it where we give people the protections, the safety, the rights, the guidance, and all of that. Think of the healing that would happen in our communities. Think of the people that will be able to hold their heads up high. I know who my daddy is. My daddy's his daddy. Well, wait, ain't he with that one's mama? Yup, and he with my mama too. And I'm with him. That's my brother. He's me. Can you imagine a group, a generation or two generations of black people raised up like that, where everywhere you go, you see family? You want to talk about us getting our due, Miss Denny? That's one way to go about doing it. You take 38 million of us and actually make us the family that we saying that we are.
Right.
So, sister, the emotional piece I get is important, right? But the thing is, you got to weigh that importance relative to other things.
Against the greater good, I guess.
Exactly. Marriage ain't about. Matter of fact, Miss Denny, the whole idea. Okay, so even if you take just the two people, right, man and woman, okay, and they get married, even then, in a single marriage like that, right, with a man, monogamous marriage between one man, one woman, whatever, right, even in that type of marriage, both people cannot come into it only thinking about themselves. They have to consider the other person. Marriage in and of itself stops being about you. Your life stops being about you. And it starts being about the other person too. Right? So it's not as if there's some extra thing that has to happen in order for there to be any type of corporate or group marriage. Right? Because once you choose to marry, your life stops being your own anyway. By the very nature of the relationship, it implies and it means that you have to work with the other person. You have to negotiate with the other person. You have to consider that other person's needs. The only difference between that and a group marriage is you have more people that you got to consider.
Right.
But if you're already juggling the needs of yourself and one other person, what's juggling the needs of yourself and 10 other people? It's nothing. It's the same mental, the same mental and emotional acuity and skills needed to do it, So, yeah, I mean, even as it stands now, a regular monogamous one person, two person marriage, your emotions can't be the arbiter of that marriage. Because when we make emotions the arbiter of what constitutes a good marriage, that's why you see the divorce rates through the motherfucking roof. Nowadays, people can just walk away from a marriage because they ain't happy. Ain't that a bitch?
Mm-hmm.
Shit, I know people, grandparents, great-grandparents, they used to fight like cats and dogs. Grandpa walk out of the house, be like, I can't stand that bitch. Grandpa, you leaving? No, I'll be back. He madder than a motherfucker. He ain't going nowhere. Because he understands his feelings ain't what the marriage is about. You're going to get mad. You're going to be jealous. You're going to be upset. You're going to be like, man, I can't stand this motherfucker. You're going to, like Chris Rock said in that comedy special, that the only reason why you ain't killed that motherfucker is because you seen an episode of CSI. And you wonder if they go, you see what I'm saying? That's marriage too. Yeah. You dig where I'm coming from? Marriage ain't all the time going to be ice cream, cupcakes, and light. You see what I'm saying? But people's emotional issues or whatever the case may be ain't got nothing to do with whether or not you stay together, whether or not you continue to fight the good fight, whether or not you continue to keep harnessing those resources in service of each other. You see what I'm saying? Right? So, I say, look, I aims to misbehave. Fuck the law. You know what I'm saying? Get it how y'all get it.
That's another problem, too, because you can marry one woman. You as a man can marry one woman. But then there is a law against you marrying more than one woman. So would that be like a legal contract? Would that be like you come in the house and you be with me and I be with you and then that's it? Like,
look, I agree that under the current way things are set up, you gotta be able to provide some actual legal protections for anybody. If you're gonna do this, do it right. Make sure that you provide legal protections. So if you do it, don't marry nobody, right? Like legally. This way, nobody can say, "Well, I'm the wife, and bitch, you can get out." Because trust me, if there's a way that black folk can find a way to hurt a motherfucker in a fight, they will. And I guarantee if you married to one woman and she fighting with the other woman, she gonna be like, bitch, I'm the wife. Quiet as is kept. You can go. You know what I'm saying? And this, that, and the third, right? So I think that these things should be handled internally, right? You don't necessarily need to go and legally get married to anybody, right? And again, I'm saying corporate marriage, meaning that wives, in my opinion, should have more than one husband too, right? I think a woman, if you're going to have, in other words, here's the thing to consider. You have 8 people that are married, 4 men and 4 women, right? Now, they may pair off in the pair bonds, right? Because you might have a motherfucker you really like more than the rest. People say they won't make a difference in their kids. Trust me, I got children that I love more than the other ones. I love them all, but I got children that I like a little bit more than the other ones. That's not to say I would never do for all of them the same. I do. But that means that that one kid is gonna be real close to my heart. You know what I'm saying? That little kid, that one's gonna be the one that when I think of my kids, I smile. You dig? Right? So it's the same, I would think, within the confines of a corporate marriage. There probably will be one of your partners that you're closest to, that you'll spend the most time with. And another thing to consider too is that a lot of the hang-ups about group or corporate marriages have to do with sex. And sex is the least important thing in a marriage. Yeah, I fucking said it. Sex is the least important thing. Think about this, Miss Deanie. You married to a dude, and he's a good dude. You love this motherfucker like you love the air you breathe. All right, he's the bomb diggity, right? You will drink this nigga bath water. You love this food, okay? One day he on his way to work, and he in a horrible car accident, and he come back home to you after 2 months in the hospital, paralyzed from the chest down. And when a person is paralyzed, they feel nothing below that area. You understand that they feel no pain, they cannot move, they feel no sensation. This brother will never get hard thinking about you again. He can't have sex with you. You gonna leave him?
No.
That right there is all you need to know about the relative importance of sex within the confines of a marriage.
It is nice though.
Don't get me wrong. It is nice. Like you know what? Sex to me is like macaroni and cheese. I love macaroni and cheese. I can eat that shit whenever you serve it to me. But if I couldn't eat macaroni and cheese, am I gonna stop eating?
No.
You damn right. I love my mac and cheese. Right? If you serve it to me right now, I will fuck some mac and cheese up. But if I never eat mac and cheese again, I'm not going to stop eating other shit simply because I can't eat mac and cheese. Right? If I'm married to this motherfucker, I'm in it for more than just what we do in the bedroom. And I think black people need to get their minds out of the motherfucking gutter. Everything ain't about fucking. Everything I'm sorry, it ain't. Everything ain't about fucking. By the way, peace to Miss Kwame. Shout out to Sister Adrian. I see y'all. Happy Hump Day to y'all. And Black Magic said it best. It's the ultimate test of in sickness and health. But here's you want to hear something real crazy, Miss Deanie?
What's that?
This dude you love went out, had this horrible car accident, right? Horrible car accident. Came back to you home paralyzed. Couldn't fuck you again. But you love him. Now imagine if you had 3 other husbands should you decide to choose so you could practice that with. You still ain't doing without your sex. You got other husbands that you can go and frequent and have that itchy time with, right? Without disrespecting or taking away the dignity of the husband that can't do that for you. You can still go in there and hug him and love him and feed him and clothe him and care for him. Especially because you know that it doesn't fucking matter. You're still going to get all your needs met. No matter how you look at it, fam. Group families, group marriages is just beneficial for black folk. I don't give a fuck about white folk, Asian folk, Latinos. I don't care about none of them. I'm talking about us. And I think it would be beneficial for us. So I hope that answers your question, Ms. D. I know that was kind of long.
It really did. But that really did. I just have one more question.
Ask away.
Question. So DBM asked you who's your favorite Trek captain. Which is your favorite Trek show?
My favorite Star Trek show. Damn, that's a tough one. I'm gonna have to go with the Next Generation. I love Voyager. But the Next Generation was just so good. I mean, fuck, they had me at Encounter at Farpoint. That very first episode had me.
Yeah.
And it kept me all 7 seasons. right? Like that show
Now,
was.
don't get me wrong. I love DS9, but the Next Generation is my favorite too.
Yeah, I couldn't even really get into DS9. You know what I'm saying? I really couldn't.
You didn't?
I couldn't. I mean, I liked Cisco. You know, first of all, Avery, he's a hell of an actor. I really enjoyed Court and so on and so forth, right? But it just didn't do it for me. First of all, I wasn't invested in the storyline of the Bajorans and the Kardashians. Not Kardashians, Kardashians, my bad, right? I wasn't really invested in that. I never got to a place where I cared about one side or the other one, right? And then it didn't help that some of the coolest characters in the show were supposedly a part of the bad guys, like Gul Dukat. I thought he was an excellent fucking character, right? And he was Kardashian. Right? And then there was that other Kardashian that actually was on Deep Space Nine. He was dope as fuck. The real easygoing one that laughed a lot and this, that, and the third. You know, like, so I just couldn't really buy into this whole the Kardashians are bad. And then I just couldn't accept that the Bajorans were good. I just never was invested really in that whole storyline at all. So, yeah, I understand some people love Deep Space Nine, and I get it. But for me,
come on, a black captain? Like,
oh, trust me, I fucked with that heavy. That was what kept me watching the show. And he wasn't a captain; he was a commander. It was Commander Cisco. But still, I fucked with it. Even though they didn't make him a captain, he should have been a captain. He was a captain in everything but title. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. So yeah, that's my favorite is the Next Generation.
Yeah, me too. Picard was epic.
Yeah, Picard was.
Okay, so I'm gonna let somebody else get on the line.
All right, Miss Denny. Hey, thank you for the great question, and I look forward to talking with you further. You know, you can always call in anytime you want.
I appreciate it. I love y'all, family. Have a good rest of the broadcast.
Peace, Miss Denny. Yeah, I mean, Commander Cisco was the shit. First of all, I love the dynamic between him and his son. You know, it was funny how that dynamic between him and Jake was so strong, so powerful. And to see a black man in power who also was a good motherfucking father, fam. Yeah, Cisco did ultimately get promoted, but I'm still salty about the fact they made him a commander in the first place. He should have been a goddamn captain. You in charge of a whole damn space station, especially a deep space station. I figure you a motherfucking captain, but that's just me. But yeah, I love James Avery. I think he's a great actor. I think he did Cisco way better than anybody ever could. The dynamic between him and Jake was amazing. He was a hell of a captain. Fuck what they talking about. But I just couldn't get into some of the other storylines that Deep Space Nine really had going on. I just couldn't fuck with it that heavy. Let's see here. Adrian's asking some good ass questions about the legal hurdles of group marriage. I believe you can get around those, but I believe that it will require some advocacy. Just like everything else that black people need, it's going to require us to push for change. So let me say this from, before I finish that topic up, Adrian. It is what's good for us. And that means that we're going to have to fight America tooth and fucking nail to have it. I'm just keeping it a buck. We are going to need to fight to change laws. If these motherfuckers can change laws around marijuana to where they stop locking white boys up for having it and start making them billionaires, they could change laws that actually make us have better families. If they could put a show on TV with some little 11-year-old boy being a goddamn drag queen, then they can fucking support us in our efforts to have group and corporate marriages. Hell, if we phrased it right, white folks will swear up and down that they came up with the idea first.
Just show love Black 1ST.
Thank you, Maiden Day, man. Fam, I appreciate the love. Always. Thank you so much for that, man. I appreciate you. So, Adrian, yes. Are there legal hurdles? Oh, John, I got to go back. Let me see here. John, let's see. What was your question? Give me a second. Lot of chat going on today. For there only to be so few of y'all, y'all are getting it in, and I love it. Damn it, I need to do these once a month. I would love to have y'all just take this whole damn thing over once a month. Shit, this y'all broadcast, not mine. John, ask your question in chat again. I think the chat buffer took it out. Wait, hold on a second. Okay, I got it. My opinion on repatriation to the continent. So John asked, what is my opinion on us repatriating to Africa? First of all, I take umbrage with the word repatriation. I am not African. I am an American. I am the descendant of the enslaved here in the United States. I am my own ethnic group, my own lineal group. I'm not African. I haven't been African for probably close to 300 years in my own personal family line. And if you count from 1619, over 400 years. That's number one. Now, that being said, because I'm just being pedantic at this point to build up some shit, John, so stall me out. But what do I think about us going to live in Africa? I think it's a great idea, but I don't think that we will do it. At least not the way I think that we will do it. Because I believe that we should do it like the Liberians did it. Like the Americo-Liberians did it. Them motherfuckers sold us away over in Africa. When I return back, if I ever go back to Africa, in any way, make any connections with Africa, I'm treating them like dark-skinned white folks. I'm going over there to get what I can get up out them, and I'm going to stand there with my guns and defend it to the death. Matter of fact, I don't believe that there should be a mass repatriation. Damn it. I want to take this call, okay. John, I hope that kind of gives you an idea. I'll touch on it a little bit more here. Calling from 860, it's your man Mark Black. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Oh, yeah, you already know it's 860 in the house, man.
What's good, fam?
Mark, man, I'm giving you the air vote from a mile away on the East Coast. Because you were talking major fly stuff today, as normal. And I've been watching your rebroadcast because, you know, how you
Our
end up
folks
burning
are
your data
highly represented as union members, whether it's the
Yeah,
Fed,
yeah.
governor, or state. Not so
So,
much in the
With
private
that being
sector.
said, yeah, I
We
see all
are
the
union
chaos today,
leaders.
man. You see that young man shooting on the protesters?
Wait, fam, something was reading out, so I didn't quite catch what you were talking about. So repeat it for me.
Yeah, I said, did you see that article floating around about that man shooting at the protesters
Hell no.
recently?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, man. Yes, bro. You say you didn't?
No, I didn't see that. I get a lot of my news from Twitter because most of the people that follow me know what news I'm looking for, so I usually get that information right when it happens.
Yeah, no,
but I've been locked up in Twitter jail, so.
This is the recent national shooting that happened.
Word?
Black man. I guess the people protesting out in Milwaukee, and they opened up fire. This young white dude opened up fire, like shot 2 people.
Did anybody shoot back?
No, and
that's a fucking problem.
I'm glad you wanted to get into that conversation.
That's a fucking problem.
Like I really, that is a major problem. I really think brothers need to be coming to defend their family when they're out there protesting.
Yeah.
I got a couple brothers with me that I know that's about that legitimately, and rightfully so, because like that is unnecessary. People have a right to peacefully assemble, and you starting to see that they're taking away from violent courses of action, or they're trying to do it legally in some areas, by making laws and stuff. So like, it's something for us to watch as a group.
Yeah, brother. I mean, you know my stance on self and collective defense. We should not be out in groups larger than one without some steel. Mm-hmm. That's just it, pure and simple. There's no reason why today, given the current political environment, the current social environment, the current economic environment, that black folk should be leaving outside their home unarmed. And when I say black folk, I mean all of us. I don't care if you're a felon. I don't care if you're not a felon. Everybody needs to have steel. I'd rather be judged by motherfucking 12 than carried by 6. As simple as that.
That was one of the things I just wanted to bring up, because I felt like it was really near dear in my heart saying that, because I'm one of the people, I go out and protest for my people every once in a blue moon, rightfully so. And I don't hate to see our brothers and sisters really get caught up in some jam like that when they're doing something that with their God-given rights. That's the thing that annoyed me the most and broke my heart the most, because this is their God-given natural rights.
But you know what though, fam? I need you to understand something when it comes to rights. America has made it clear that you will have the rights you're willing to defend. No more, no less. It's not enough for us, but okay, so us as black people, we hear the language around rights. And we accept that, and rightfully so, it makes sense, okay? The problem is that we don't accept what it fucking takes in order to maintain those rights, right? In other words, it's not enough to just espouse the rhetoric of rights. Rights require vigilance. It requires action. The moment you stop being vigilant in the defense of your right, you don't have that right anymore.
And that makes you point back to one of how many of our brothers and sisters, when it comes to 2A and getting our rights legally and even our rights in general, how many of us unwillingly give that away over religion or whatever ideologies they might believe in.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I find it very, very, very detrimental to our cause as a race and as a unit.
Absolutely.
And I find that and that's another thing that disheartens me a lot sometimes.
I'll touch on that, fam. I will definitely talk about that. And thank you for bringing it up. And thank you for informing me, because I swear to you, I didn't know. I knew they were protesting up in Kenosha, up in Wisconsin, but I didn't know.
Yeah, that area.
Yeah, I didn't know that there had been a shooting.
I recently posted up on one of my pages, because I got 2 of them, about one of the shooters that were doing it. Little scrawny ass white kid. That's the thing that breaks my heart.
They needed to end that motherfucker, man. They needed to end him. Period. That's my take on it. But I'll talk more about it. I promise you, fam.
Yeah. Peace and blessings, man. It's always good talking to you.
Always good to talk to you as well, man. Peace, fam. Yeah, fam. You know, it's like Brother Black Man said. If you want rights, you got to throw some lefts. That's just the way it goes down. As a matter of fact, fam, freedom, liberation requires vigilance. Our liberation is not going to be a one and done scenario. There's not going to be a day when we finally defeat white supremacy and get our due that we could just go, woo, we did it. War is over. Everything's cool. Right? No. At that point, fam, that's when the work begins. That's when you actually have to defend it. It's not enough for us to just fight for our due and get free and be able we did it. Nope. Once you get free, that's when the actual work begins. Because then you have to keep it. Then you have to maintain that liberation. It requires vigilance. Otherwise, you don't end up with liberation. You end up oppressed. The moment that you lower your guard as a people, the moment you say, well, it's okay if this little encroachment on your rights happen. The moment you do that, you're on the way to losing what right you claiming that you have. Period. They should have killed that motherfucker. They still should kill him. They got to put him in jail somewhere, don't they? We got brothers and sisters in jail. They need to put hands on that fool. Period. That's what I think about that shit. That's my opinion. They need to dead him. They don't like to wait for trials when it come to us. I don't like to wait for trials when it come to them. They didn't hesitate to blow Micah up for his alleged actions in Dallas. They didn't say, let's capture Micah and make sure that he gets a fair trial in front of a jury of his peers. No, they sent in a drone with a motherfucking explosive device on the end of it and blew his ass to pieces. They didn't give my brother Christopher Dorner a fair fucking trial. They didn't say, let's capture Christopher Dorner and make sure that he gets his day in court. No, they trapped him in a fucking cabin, threw in an incendiary device and burned him to death. They don't believe in fucking fair trials for us. Why the hell should we believe in fair trials for them? Dylan Roof should have never even made it to court. You walk up into a church, a black church. Look, I'm an atheist. Even I know this shit you don't do at church. This motherfucker walked up into a black church and murdered 9 people. That fool should have never made it to his arraignment. Guard, inmate, the motherfucker feeding them behind the counter. It don't matter. Put hands on that motherfucker. Not once, not twice, every single time. And we already know that the police is in cahoots with these white vigilantes that are going to come and show up at our gatherings, at our rallies, at our uprisings, at our protests. So treat the police like an enemy and treat these motherfuckers who ain't out there with placards, holding up signs, standing right next to you, treat them like enemies too. When they show up and they show their face, if they don't have nothing to show that they out there on the team, deal with them on the spot. Don't even let them get close to the police. Just simply back up around them quietly with brothers stepping back behind them and flank them and beat the fuck out of them. Make sure that they never again decide that they ever want to show up at a rally, at an event, at an uprising, at anything, at a gathering of black people without feeling some motherfucking trauma. Because I guarantee you, when you go to their shit, when they have a gathering of whites for, like the motherfucking Unite the Right rally and this, that, and the third, they'll beat your ass if you show up. Them white folks, had you showed up in motherfucking, what was it, Charleston in South Carolina during that Unite the Right rally, and you wasn't with a group of other black people, you'd have got your ass whooped. They had fools out there with flags. And you thinking flags? What's the big deal about flags? On the flag sticks, they had spears on the end of those poles. So in case some shit went down, they could snatch that motherfucking flag out because they don't really give a fuck about the flag. Whether it's their Nazi flag or they don't care about that. They'll snatch that flag right off that motherfucker, brandish that spear, and go to work. But y'all out here protesting and marching with no weapons, no protection, knowing that you don't only have to deal with the police, but you also have to deal with white vigilantes that think they have the right to dominate you, to come out there and intimidate you and prevent you from speaking? Please. And black man's right. Whenever we deal with one of these motherfuckers, we need to deal with it as a collective. We need to be willing to deal with the ramifications of it. Remember that brother that whooped the shit out of Dylan Roof in jail? You know how much money that brother got put on his books after that? Fam, the last time I saw a number was in the millions. That brother ain't gonna never get out of jail, but he ain't gonna hurt for commissary and no goodies or nothing while he in there. That's how I need to be each and every time. Whoever puts in that work, the people need to take care of. We need to make sure that that brother's life in there is as comfortable as it can be. We can't get you out, fam, not yet. But while you up in there, fam, you ain't gonna be hurting for nothing. Them white folks is out there, these white vigilantes, these white militias are working with the police to do what the police can't. See, the police, fam, for all of y'all's twerking, and dancing, and hugging it out with them, the police still want to do to you what they've been doing to you, which is killing you. They want to kill you. The police, law enforcement, 12, one time, Eagle Eye, the pigs, they want to kill you. But we've made it disadvantageous for them to openly do it. And they're still killing us, by the way. That's why we got the uprising up there in Kenosha. So they want to kill you. But we're making it more and more difficult for them to get away with doing it. So what they'll do is they'll let the citizens take care of it. Oh, it wasn't us that killed any of those protesters out there. That was just a citizen. That was another citizen. That was a civilian that did that. That's facts. And more white citizens are going to be willing to do that. Didn't Donald Trump at the RNC convention have that couple, that old white couple that drew down on those Black Lives Matter protesters in front of their house? Didn't he have them speak? Yeah. They definitely willing to utilize the regular citizenry to get in the work that the legal system can't. We got a fight ahead of us, fam. And us being pussyfied and scared to tool up, scared to use those weapons, scared of going to jail, scared of getting a death penalty, scared of all that shit. That's got to go. I'm sorry, but it's got to go. I want to read out what Adrique said. Our folks are highly represented as union members, whether it's the Fed, government, or state, not so much in the private sector. We are union leaders. Well, of course, in the public sector, but look at what the Democrats and the Republicans are doing to the public sector. Through their austerity packages and diminishing the government and slitting the throat of the government, they're diminishing the power of state, local, and federal public sector unions just as a matter of course. You can't have a union when you're getting rid of the union members. You can't have a union when those union members can't afford to fucking pay your union dues. You can't have a union when they eliminate an entire department and just say, good riddance. You can bid for it on your next, exam. So yeah, black folk aren't really putting in the political work it takes to defend what gains we've made in the public sector. Yvette and Antonio talk about that all the time. Which is why I don't understand why people will still follow that bullshit that says that, oh, y'all begging the government? No, but we involved in the government. And we have a say of what happens in the government. So, of course, we can turn to the government. We citizens. We have the right to turn to the government and demand anything we want, just like anybody else do. Why is it everybody else can ask the government for shit, and it's them being entrepreneurs. It's them showing good American grit and spirit. As soon as black people ask the government for anything, we begging Uncle Sugar. That a bitch. Everybody goes to the government. Everybody. Boeing goes to the government. Lockheed Martin goes to the government. Microsoft goes to the government. Google goes to the government. Everybody goes to the government and demands whatever the fuck they want. And it's all good. It's all good. We need to emulate them. Elon Musk is that's the guy to watch. Elon Musk, California gave Elon Musk hundreds of millions of dollars in tax breaks to get his little Tesla factories and shit built in California. And then as soon as the Ronas show up and they close down his factory, for the public good, this motherfucker comes out publicly and disrespects the government that allowed his ass to be in place in the first place. And you know what they did? Jack fucking shit. Everybody else can demand from the government and force the government to do whatever the fuck they want it to do. And they're cool. They're showing entrepreneurial spirit. They got grit. We ask for anything from the government as a collective, and we beggars. Just me, lobby and petition is just more terms for begging, but with a little money thrown at it. We can do that too. We could have a PAC if we wanted one. I've mentioned often the need for us to have a PAC that focuses on the issues of the descendants of the enslaved here in the United States. But I've been told by some people that that's a no-go, that they won't support it. Okay, that's fine. It is what it is. It doesn't preclude the fact that we need one. It just means you won't support one. And you asked me earlier, just me, am I down with ADOS? Hashtag ADOS. I respect their work. I wish them the best. They are my tribe's people. I still listen to Yvette. I still listen to Antonio. Even though Antonio has me blocked on Twitter, bastard. I ain't gonna never forget. How you got me blocked on Twitter? Anyways, it's all good. He's still people. He's still fam. They family. I don't have to agree with everything that the hashtag ADOS movement does in order to back what it is that they're trying to do or that they're looking to do. So yes, in that sense, I am down with them. Do I consider myself a follower of Yvette and Tone? No more than I would consider myself a follower of anybody else who I get information from. I don't look to them to lead me per se, but I listen to them. And when they make sense, I rock with it. And when they don't, I ignore it. Victims guarantee qualification. I ain't got nothing to say on what they do or how they do it if they're trying to fight the same enemy I'm trying to fight. Yeah, Elon Musk is on some crazy shit. He talking about nuclear bombing Mars to try to terraform the motherfucker. But because he rich, he can say whatever the fuck he like. This motherfucker worth billions, but gonna come out against people getting extra $600 a week for unemployment. Fuck Elon Musk. Fuck Elon Musk. Fam, I'll take one or two more questions. I'm gonna start to wrap it up here in about 10 minutes, right? I just 2-hour mark I think is pretty good, right? But I want to thank all of you before I even go there. I want to thank all of you for just being who you are, for being my people. You know what I'm saying? I want to thank you. Just me, I got a lot of practice at it, fam. I've been doing broadcasts such as this for almost 5 years now. And I'm very, I read a lot, so I have a lot of information. And I try to focus on synthesis, just me, which is why I can take questions from people and at least have a stance on it. Plus, I'm not afraid to take a stance. Just me. Yeah, Twitter's got me in jail, bastards. But no, I'm not afraid to take a stance. See, here's the thing. I'm not looking to have everybody follow my work. I would love it if more black people were watching your man Mark Black. I'm not so egoless that I can't think about that. But if they don't, fuck them. I'm still gonna say what I gotta say. Black man, what's good, fam? Talk to me.
Alright. Did I ever tell you my tow truck story?
Yeah. Fam, you could have at least said hi first. Damn.
Hey, man, what's up?
What's good, fam? And no, you ain't told us your tow truck story, man. So go ahead and just drop that.
All right, this is my tow truck story. So I was, when I was a kid, my dad owned a tow truck. He had a truck, and he would drive around Berkeley, California, picking up cars and stuff, right? And he was making real money, Mark. I'm serious. Like back then, it wasn't regulated. You didn't have to do anything, right? Go get your truck, people call you, all this insurance stuff and all the kind of stuff you got now. But anyway, so I always liked that kind of idea or whatever, and thought it'd be a good thing, at some point in time. but I had an idea to get a tow truck. So I'm thinking I can go to the city, get contracts with the city, and so on and so forth. And, you know, we only got like about 5,000 people here.
Right.
But in your contract, when they put in your contract, your vehicle or your tow truck has to be a certain number of miles and a certain year number. Even though back then I was like in the early 2000s, the truck was from the 80s. But the good part about it was, for me, that it had less than like, I think, 50,000 miles at the time.
Right.
The guy who had owned it, he had repoed it and had hid it. But after they stopped looking for it, the wife was trying to sell it. And it was all good. Paperwork was all good. Title was all good. Everything was great, you know, in order to buy it and everything like that. But the only reason I could never get a contract with the city is because the year and the miles. It didn't matter if I picked up your cars or not. It was a 2-car hauler too. So if you have a car with a two-car accident, I can pick up 2 cars.
Yep.
But their expectation was for me to compete with the white boy who had 10 trucks and then big rigs. You know how you have.
Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about, and all his trucks is newer too, because he was able to get financing and shit you wasn't.
Yeah, that I couldn't get it. So when I'm starting out, I'm even going to the church and just saying, hey, you know, you have to have a not for hire on your truck, especially here in Texas. You have to have not for hire, or you have to have a U.S. DOT number.
Yep.
And a U.S. DOT number is one of the most. It is one of the most difficult things.
It's expensive as fuck too.
Yeah, it is. It's really, really bad. I used to haul cars. When I haul cars, I haul 3 cars. I had a 2-car hauler, and I would go from Dallas to Houston, pick up cars, and bring cars from Houston to Dallas. It was a really good living. I mean, I made really good money at it. But the thing about it was that U.S. DOT number, if everything isn't just right, and you're dealing with a guy like me who only got a high school education, now I can hustle, but I only have a high school education, so when it comes to that paperwork, I could throw away $500 to $800 away in paperwork because I didn't know how to do it.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you mean, fam. I know exactly what you mean. And the shame part about it is where's the motherfucking resources from the government to educate you on how to do that paperwork? See, people think reparations is this, that, and the third. Man, there's so much to it. We need to be taught exactly the ins and outs of how to maneuver through all this bureaucracy and red tape and shit, so we can finally get access to our due. There's so much more to like. See, this is what I be saying, black man, fam. There's enough space in this war front, this battlefront, for everybody. Your story actually speaks to the need for us to get our due. And it speaks to a specific thing that we need in order to have it addressed. When people say, well, what do you consider reparations? I'm like, don't just ask me. You need to ask all 38 million of us what we consider reparations, and then you need to do all of that.
Yeah, if my reparations, hey, give me a dump truck, give me a tow truck, something that I want, right?
Or the means for you to get it.
Go out there and build a Highway 80, Highway 69, or Highway I-20, 55, wherever you come from. I'm getting a part of that contract. I'm hauling the old debris away. I'm hauling old rocks away. I'm bringing new dirt in. I don't have to pay no gas. My insurance, my maintenance is free for so many years.
Yep.
At least 10. I get to go to the same place that everybody goes to, but you know what? I don't have to pay anything.
But you know what though, black man, understand what I said. Because what I said, I don't want it to go over your head. I said, ask all 38 million of us what reparations is and do all of it, not just your piece. Because
yours is a whole lot different than mine. Yours might be something a whole lot different from mine. I'm saying for me in my area.
No. I want you to hear me. Hear me real quick.
Yeah.
Because I know that's not what you were saying, but I need to make it clear for the broadcast. When it comes to reparations, right? Each and every last one of us has an American dream. We are the most American of Americans, our people.
Right.
Okay? We all have an American dream. Reparations is responsible for ensuring that every single descendant of the enslaved in the United States has access to their American dream like everybody else has had. And if it does not do that, then it is not reparations. Period, point blank, the end.
I 100% agree with that. I 100% agree with that. We've talked about this before. Your area where you live is way different from where I live.
Yep.
Right? And I said before, you give me my land, fence off all my land, and give me 100 cows, and you keep making sure, you keep checking on me, come down there, and you make sure my grain is good, you make sure my hay is good, you make sure all this stuff is good, you give me the tractor, you give me all that stuff. I live for all that.
Yep.
But it's not going to just be for one generation.
That's right.
It's going to have to be multiple generations.
Just like it's been multiple generations of the fuckery we face, it's going to be a multiple generational fix. And if America ain't prepared for that, we're going to make sure they are when we done.
Oh, you got that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. It's not going to be no one generational thing. It's not going to be. I'm 50 now, so it dies when he's 70. No. It's legacy. That don't work.
Our justice claim is a combination of lineage and legacy.
Right. That doesn't work. It has to be like you say, for a longer period of time to help out all those before us who were screwed over to come back again to help the new people so we don't get screwed over. All
Absolutely.
Us being shot in the back 7 times. At some point in time, that has to stop.
Oh yeah.
At some time, it's going to have to.
But we're going to have to make it stop. It's not going to stop on its own. America's taught us.
No. You know what I mean by make it stop. It's going to have to stop.
Yeah, I know what you mean, fam. I know exactly where you're coming from. Absolutely.
I just haven't had my turn yet. I know my turn is coming. We all got a turn.
Yep, we all got a turn. And may the ancestors give me the strength to do what's need for them when my turn comes.
Yeah, it's a lottery thing. It's a lottery thing. But I want you to be prepared when you get that lottery. I want you to be prepared for the lottery.
Facts.
I don't want you to go win the lottery and then you lose all your money. I want you to win that. I want you to hit that lottery and spend all your money and make sure you live that best life you can after you win the lottery.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's what I understand. I want everybody to do good after my lottery. After my lottery happens or whatever, I want to make sure I take care of my people and make sure everybody, has a good representation of what I spend my money on.
I hear you, black man. Hey, your stories always teach me something, fam, and I appreciate you for that. You're my, slightly elder brother. I consider you basically a peer of mine. You know what I'm saying? But you definitely my elder brother, and I always learn something from you, fam.
Well, like I say, I don't talk to anybody like this. This is the only station that I really call in terms of this way.
Yep.
The mother station I call because what y'all talking about? I call you for a specific reason.
Yep.
In a lot of ways, I can't talk to my own people, but like I say, I call here, I call a chat, and I love talking to y'all. I love reading y'all comments and stuff like that. And
you at home, fam. You at home. This is where you put your internet feed up and you kick back and you be you. You people's here. You family.
Well, I appreciate that. I was on Twitter the other day. You didn't see my tweet though, did you?
No, fam. I'm like on that Akon shit. They got me locked up. They won't let me out.
Yeah, kicked up. Now the other day was after the shooting. After the shooting the other day, and you shoot a man 9 times in the back. One thing, but I was just really, really shocked because there were so many of them out there that they could have easily handled that. I thought. Yeah. But anyways, after that, I sit there and said on my Twitter thing. I said, you know what? There's a lot of pussy work in these streets. And I ain't talking about no prostitution.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of it.
These cops is cowards, fam. They ain't out there to serve you, to help you. No. They trying to make sure they go home every night and keep collecting that paycheck and pension. They ain't out there on no public good, no self-sacrifice for the greater good. They not fucking heroes. These bitches, these pussies are not heroes. They are cowards.
No, they're really not. I wish that, it would stop. But like you said before, it's not going to stop until the enhancement stops, until you make the enhancement stop. And that's what's going to, at some point in time, that's what's going to take. And I think, that's right. The guy who shot those people today, from from what I seen, Mark, all right, he was down on the ground. Were they jumping him?
Fam, I don't know. I just heard of it.
Yeah, that's what I want to ask the chat, because I seen him down on the ground, and one guy was jumping up in the air, he shot him, and then another guy came over and he shot him, and then one guy's arm was opened up like beef. You know what I'm saying?
Man, don't bring Air Force Ones to a gunfight is all I got to say on that. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to take the time to put hands on a motherfucker, you might as well take the time to put bullets on him. Shit. Look, I feel like I said, fam, you know how I feel. I feel like, at the end of the day, whatever the price it is, we got to pay for our dignity, for our self-respect, for our children to be able to say, my daddy shot the shit out them motherfuckers when they tried to kill us, instead of saying, yeah, my daddy did. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it takes for that, I'm with it. Everything else can go by me.
But I still want to make sure. I thought they were jumping him and trying to take his gun from him. Then I seen a video later on in the day where the police were surrounding him and telling somebody else, hey, it's curfew, you got to go home.
Yep.
But the white boys, they were giving water to and said, hey, we appreciate y'all. And I remember now, don't sit there and say I don't. For the last few months, all these sheriffs talking about we're going to deputize our citizenry if this test don't get any better. Remember all that?
Yep.
Remember black guys?
Fam, we talked about that. You remember, black man, when I said that they was going to start letting the citizenry handle the shit they couldn't handle?
Right, and that's what I'm saying. So was he a part of that, and they were jumping on him because he was in that set, or what? I didn't know what was going on.
Yep.
And that's why I was tripping. Like, what's going on? So did they deputize him, and he thought he had some kind of authority? Did they give him a badge? Did they give him an ID? But still, at the end of the day, he still got arrested. They went and found him and arrested him. But the other dudes who shot, it was 8 times in the back.
Mm-hmm.
They're still sitting at home eating dinner and chilling at night. So it's still the same thing to me.
We know what the answer is. Are we going to put that answer into Macon, or are we going to continue to cry? I don't have no more tears left. I really don't.
No, that's what his sister said today. I haven't cried yet because I want what she said there. She said, I have not cried yet. I have not. Oh, and the mom was she was just so bad today. The mom was terrible. Her and Crump. But the sister and the daddy were on a whole different side.
That's what's up.
Like, wow.
And you're gonna see more of that. You're gonna see more of that. These families is gonna stop wanting to get paper.
When the daughter spoke, Crump didn't sister with the daughter. When the daddy spoke, Crump was long gone. He was way out somewhere. He wasn't inflamed nowhere that I seen. On the stuff that I seen, but when he was up there with her, he was doing the whole thing with rubbing her shoulder, rubbing her hand, and doing all that kind of stuff. We were looking in her eyes and the depth of what she's sitting there saying.
I wonder if some of these families is intimidated by the fact that Benjamin Crump is an attorney, because I think we see a lot more families actually tell the truth about how they feel about the murder of their family members. But Benjamin Crump come in there and say, "Nah, come on now. You don't want, I'm working hard for you. I'm trying to get you, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to make sure y'all straight. You don't want to fuck this up, right? By talking out the side of your neck. There'll be time for that later." Like the Democrats tell us, no, we got to vote for Biden. I know y'all upset and y'all want reparations and tangibles and all that other shit, right? But we just got to vote for Biden right now. There'll be time to deal with that other stuff later. Nope. Black people need to stop thinking that later gonna come. No, that's a train that never show up.
400 years ago. Later was back in the 90s.
You feel me? Like later was hella ago. I'm good. I don't want to wait till later. Later.
No.
You see what I'm saying?
And that's my whole thing. When I watch this stuff now, I'm being honest with you. I'm being confused about what's being going on, because these officers or these sheriff's departments and these police chiefs and stuff say this stuff. And then when this white boy go out and do this stuff, he was on your team. No, he wasn't on our team. We didn't give him that right. But you also sit there and say, like, a month ago.
But fam, don't be confused. You know what I'm saying? Look, I'm going to tell you, don't be confused. I watch a lot of different black content on YouTube. I really like the hell out of Professor Black Truth. And he quotes Neely Fuller all the time. He says white supremacy takes both sides of every argument, right?
Yeah.
Never ever be mistaken. No matter what you doing out there in the streets or in the political sphere or in churches or in the courts or in the education buildings or anything like that, white supremacy is always on the menu, and every white face is suspect until proven otherwise. This does not necessarily mean you go out there in a state of hostility. But what it means is that you keep your fucking head on a swivel, that you're never confused about who these people are and what they're willing to stand for. Every white person out here that I've come across, including white people that are in my family, if pressed to the wall, I can't be 100% certain they won't choose to uphold white supremacy. They all are suspect. All of them. I got white people I like.
You already have that uniform on.
No, my point is don't get confused with the window dressing. All uniform or ununiformed, deputized or not deputized, carrying a badge, not carrying a badge, doesn't matter. That's window dressing. That's window dressing. That is what they use to confuse you. The fact is that the white dude out there in tan shorts with a motherfucking, polo shirt on and a pair of work boots is just as much an agent of law enforcement and white supremacy as the motherfucker out there in the blue and black uniform with the gold badge and the number on the front. They're both on the same fucking team until shown otherwise, until they demonstrate clearly otherwise. When you see one, you're seeing the other one. It doesn't matter. If you want to go to a rally or a protest or whatever the case may be, fam, and you out there and these white people show up and they not immediately in the mix throwing bottles and and doing this, that, and the third like y'all doing, if they not immediately in the mix, run they ass the fuck up out of there. If they didn't show up to help out, they don't need to be there to gawk. We don't need no hangers on, no gaggle of eyeballs. Get the fuck out of here. And treat them just like you treat the law enforcement.
But that's my whole thing. I think I said about Bernie Sanders before. Well, you just said I was there. I knew it happened. I seen it with my own eyes. I seen Martin Luther King. But you weren't there to do anything. You were just there to be there.
Yeah, you was just there to be there. You was just there gawking.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So my thing, like I said, who was that to sit there and say that they're the same bird, but opposite feathers, but you still getting shit on down at the bottom?
Yep.
Ain't that how it goes?
They two wings of the same bird, the Dems and the Republicans. And the cool part about today, actually.
Yeah, and you still getting shit down out there, and you still getting shit on at the bottom.
But see, check this out, fam. The cool thing about today is that they're not even bothering to hide it anymore. Like, if you're still asleep politically at this particular point as a black person, it's because you don't want to be awake. Because they're not even bothered to hide in the fact that they're the same party. They running two people for the same office from different parties that literally you cannot tell the difference between either one of them. There's zero. Actually, I take that back. There is a slight difference. Biden, we've had to deal with for 40 years. Trump, we've only had to deal with 3 and some change, right? But other than that, there's no difference between Jim Crow Joe Biden and traitorous Trump. No difference at all. And they're not even bothering to hide it. So if you're still talking about, we can influence the Democrats and this, that, and the third, something wrong with you. I'm sorry. I this is no slight, no disrespect, no shade. But if you still thinking that the Democrats owe us something or that they have some sort of hidden loyalty that they just can't come out and talk about or some shit with us, you're sadly mistaken. It's not the Democrats' fault that we went out and hoed for them for 40, 50 years and gave them our votes every time it was time to vote, and they didn't even turn us out. It's not their fault. That's on us.
Well, that's why I put that on Tom Harper's thing the other day. Tom Harper talked all this Trump, beat up, Trump. I said, okay, but you're sitting there saying all that, but what is the policy that Biden...
Thank you. What is Biden going to do?
There is none.
What is Biden going to do? Look, get Trump out. Okay, everybody united around that. Never Trump. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So what the fuck is Biden going to do other than not be Trump? Because, hell, I cannot be Trump, but you're not seeing America trying to put my ass into the office of president. I can be not Trump all day long.
But that's my whole point. I was sitting there saying, but y'all that's what all their feed was about in the chat room was just get Trump out of here. Just get Trump out of here. It's going to be better after he's out.
And you know what's the crazy part? Is everybody was talking all that shit in 2016 or 2015 about how, no more Republicans and we need to support Hillary and this, that, and the third. And then when November showed up and the motherfucking results start rolling in, everybody got sick as fuck. I sat there and laughed my ass off because I had predicted that Trump was going to win the motherfucking election. I predicted it back in January of 2015. Go back. I actually did a video where I predicted this shit.
I knew just well. When Obama came out, I knew he was going to win. I used to talk to my cousin and said, do you know who this guy is? He didn't know who he was. I said, that guy's going to win. Who is he? And I sit there and tell him. I see him at the convention, and that's all I can sit there and tell you right now. Then you start doing more research and all that, but he started throwing so many people under the bus. I was hesitant because he just threw Chicago completely under the bus, if you ask me. Yeah. A lot of them black women, like you said, were still on him. Went, oh my gosh, he did this for us, he did that for us, he spoke to us, and he just came here and volunteered and so on. But
man, I'm telling you, we be acting like. We be acting like domestic violence victims and shit. Oh, he was nice to me, so I love him. Right. Like, what the fuck?
Right.
I'm like, anybody can be nice. I don't give a fuck if somebody nice. What are they doing for you?
But the black men who supported him and the white guy who supported him and who were for him and trying to sit there and say, hey, this might be our guy, he threw all them on their bus as soon as he threw them. Oh, what you talking about? Boom. He was run over. Boom. He was ran over. And just kept doing it persistently. I was like, wow. And so, but anyway, so that's my thing for tonight. I guess I
appreciate you, fam. I got a few more questions to answer, so don't go just yet. But I mean, go ahead and hang up, but stick around. I got a few more questions.
Up, I'm still listening.
I appreciate you, fam, and I love you, brother. Thank you for everything you are, man. Peace.
Thank you,
fam. Brother Black Man, as always, you know what it is. So. There was a question I think Sister Alma asked, and she asked, how do we weaponize the black church? And this is a question that's near and dear to my heart. The black church of all stripes, because I'm not just putting this on the Christians. This is on black Muslims, this is on black Hebrews, this is on black everybody. We need to adopt a liberation theology. Now, what do I mean by that? Meaning that we need to interpret all of the holy books, scriptures, texts, whatever the utterances of the prophets were, and so on and so forth, to our benefit, like every other group do. Period. We need to do it like every other group do it. They look at their faith as an adjunct of their goals on this earth. They don't wait for pie in the sky. They don't wait for God to come down and do anything. They take their faith and interpret it in a way that always works out to their benefit. Black folk need to do the same in every religion. Because us atheists is looking at all of y'all like, what the fuck are y'all doing? Right? I don't have no faith in no God or no religion, right? So I ain't got nothing holding me back from doing the needful. For me, there's this one life, and then after that, who knows, right? I know I have this life right here while I got it. So everything I'm doing, every focus I got is to try to do something here right now in this life. And if I'm fortunate, leave a legacy for the lives of my people that come after me. That's my highest goal, my highest aspiration. I don't aim for no heaven, no pie in the sky, no green grass and trees. Shit, this life been hard enough as it is. Don't I deserve a motherfucking rest when I die? I don't want to go to heaven and have to do more shit. I'm cool, but that's me. I'm just talking shit. Don't get in your feelings, religious folk. I'm just talking shit, right? But no, you need to weaponize your theology. You need to take your theology and make it serve your earthly interests. And if you are wrong, your Lord and Savior, your God, will address it on Yom Kippur, the Day of Judgment, whatever you believe in, right? But if you're right, then you can go to heaven knowing that your ass fought the good fight in this life to make heaven be right here, just like it is to the one that you go to. You have to make your theology serve your earthly purposes. Because people, I'm going to tell you something. And it was an old sister that told me this. Shout out to Mother Harriet. She told me this a long time ago in church when I was a Christian. She said, boy, she said, some of these folk are so heavenly minded that they ain't no earthly good. And she wasn't bullshitting. We all know who these people are. These folk that, man, as soon as the church doors crack an inch, they standing right there on the motherfucking door post. They the first one in and the last one out every Sunday. And they had Bible study on Wednesday. And they had choir practice on Thursday. But if you hungry, you can't depend on them to give you a crumb off of their table. Your car break down, you can't count on them to give you a ride. They ain't got shit. They know earthly good. They heavenly minded like a motherfucker. They're like, by and by, in that sweet by and by, right? Yeah, they can sing too. They can sing. Heavenly minded. Ain't worth a shit on this planet Earth to you though. Not to they self. Look, fam, if black people, my people converted to a particular religion tomorrow, as long as that religion was oriented toward the theology of liberation for us, I'll be the first one right there when the motherfucking temple, masjid, synagogue, church, doors open. I'll be right there. As an atheist, I'll be right there worshiping right alongside of you. That's how important of a weapon theology is for our people. Is that should we ever embrace a theology that means liberation, freedom for us, I'll be right motherfucking there. Period. By the way, I also want to address I think it's Sister Strongflower. Forgive me if I got your pronoun wrong. I don't mean no harm, but Strongflower seemed like a feminine name to me. I like the name anyway. But Sister Strongflower is talking about the Greens. I'm fucking with the Greens this fall. I can't roll with no D's or no R's. First of all, I've never voted for a Democrat anyway. I didn't vote for Obama. Not that entitles me to any special privileges or whatever the case may be or make me better than any use. Fuck Obama. I didn't vote for him. I don't vote for D's and I don't vote for R's. And the reason why, fam, isn't because I'm so much smarter than any of the rest of you. The reason is simple. I don't vote for evil. If I get a say in whether or not evil exists or not, I'm not going to choose evil. I know that's a strange, crazy concept. But the D's have been evil. The Republicans are evil. Why the fuck would I choose evil? Even if one is lesser than the other one. I bust in your house. And I say to you, now, I can either beat your ass and take what's in your wallet, or I can move in and torture you for the next 5 years. Pick one. How many of y'all are going to pick one? You can take an ass whooping now, and I take what's in your wallet, or I get to move in and fuck you up whenever I feel like it for 5 years. Pick. Which one do you pick? Go ahead and tell me in the chat. Which one do you pick? Do you pick the ass whooping now, and I take your wallet, take your purse, or do you choose to let me move in and torture you for 5 years whenever I feel like it? Pick one. Gregory said, black people are tired, man. We are so tired and exhausted. I know it, fam. Boy, do I know it. But I can tell you this. Your ancestors, they wasn't in no ways tired. They fought every fucking day, just like we do. Thank you, Bernadine. I love that name too. Fam, we only got this life, and it ain't that long. I can fight for 70 years, right? I can fight for 70, 80 good years. Give my contribution to the struggle. It's hard sometimes. I know it. That's why you got me. That's why you got people you can come and listen to that lift your spirits, that'll try and give you a plan of action. You know what I mean? To have you look at political ideas like a PAC or starting our own political party, something. Right? Because I don't want to hear more about the fucking problems. I want to hear solutions. So that's what I'm about. I give solutions because that's what I want to hear, solutions. But I can fight for 70 years. And then I get to rest. Whether that's heaven, whether that's oblivion, I don't know. But we only got to stick it out for a little while longer, Gregory, because once we dead, we win any motherfucking way. These fools can't beat me when I'm gone. Fuck them. I'ma die cussing them with their name ill on my lips. With a smile on my motherfucking face. I know we tired, but it ain't that long. 70 years ain't that long, fam. Not when we've got generations of our ancestors that fought the same fight that we did. I ain't in no ways tired, even though I'm tired as a motherfucker. I ain't in no ways exhausted, even though I'm beat. I'm exhausted until it's time to stand up and scrap. Then I'm going to do what I got to do. I'm going to do what I got to do. But Strongflower is right. Sister Bernadine is right. Let's help the Greens. Get our feet wet. Learn how to organize. Learn about the political lingo. What's a caucus? Right? You know, what's a plank? These are things that are important, fam. I love you too, brother. Please believe that shit. Everything I do is for you. Every breath I take, every fight in me is for you. Love you too, man. Let's fuck with the Greens on the top of the ticket. I'll put it to you like this. I'm not even fucking with D's down ballot. Now again, no shade to those of you who are. I respect it. VGQ. I don't have nothing to say on it. However, I'm messing with Greens at the top of the ticket, and I'm going to work with more Greens in the middle, and I'm going to work with baby Greens. What the fuck I look like supporting even baby evil? Evil's born, but evil got to get fed. Evil then grows. I'll be damned if I support evil. Even baby Democrats don't get no love. They all get smoked. Matter of fact, the baby Democrats are easier to squash. Fam, you want to get a taste of your political power? Here's how you do it. In your particular jurisdiction, wherever you are, whatever city you have domicile in, you have residency in, where you can vote, I want you to get a good gander at the candidates for mayor in your next mayoral election. I want you to figure out which one it is that all of the elders and the church and the powers that be tell you should be the candidate you vote for, okay? I want you to pay close attention to whoever that candidate is, all right? When they tell you who that candidate is, I want you to then go and work your ass off to have the other candidate elected and tell me that you don't have no motherfucking political power. Tell me after that you powerless politically. I want you to pay attention to whoever it is, all of the muckety mucks, all of the people in your town that got pulled, is telling you the candidate to fuck with. And I want you to get as many black people and yourself as you can to get the other person in the office. And then come back and tell me you ain't got no political power, that you ain't got no pull. Fam, when Mike Brown was killed in Ferguson, Missouri, the mayor of Ferguson was elected mayor of Ferguson and only spent $5,000 out of his own pocket for his campaign. 5. Now, let one of our tribe's people run for mayor in Ferguson. And I'm not talking about one of the bootlicks or the sellouts or the butter biscuit chasers or the boule and all these other demonic motherfuckers who love to sidle up next to white supremacy. No, I mean one who understands lineage and legacy. Let them run for mayor. And I live in Seattle and I'll contribute to your campaign. And I bet you when I'm done talking, more than $5,000 will be thrown your way to get you elected. And let's see how you run Ferguson after that. Let's see if you still continue to use our people as a motherfucking personal piggy bank with bullshit citations and court fines and fees. Let us see if you ain't got the means to be able to address the goddamn police union and the cops in Ferguson and this, that, and the third. Again, I don't want to hear support the Dems down ballot. Fuck that. I don't owe the Democrats shit, and neither do you. The last one that in high public office that even would listen to us was Carter. Dr. Claude Anderson, being a part of the Carter administration, was the last motherfucking time that black folk had any goddamn opportunity to sway anybody of a high elected office on the national level. The last time. We don't owe them shit. I don't vote for evil. Fam, by the way, before I finish this up tonight, the right answer is I don't choose to be beaten and have my purse or wallet taken, or for you to torture me for the next 5 years. What I choose is to put this hot one in your ass and throw your body out of my motherfucking front yard. That's the right answer. I don't choose torture, and I don't choose you jacking me. I don't choose abuse. I don't choose evil. I don't vote for evil, and neither should you. Fuck the Democrats, fuck the Republicans. We got options. I don't care if you vote Libertarian. I don't care if you vote Socialist. I don't give a fuck if you vote Communist. I don't give a fuck what you vote, as long as it ain't D or R. Because I don't want them to sit here and say, oh, we're not represented politically. You niggers don't vote. Yes, we do. We just ain't voting for you bitches. Unless y'all coming and talking about something we want to hear. I'm not wasting my time concerning myself with a Democrat, whether a baby Democrat or a full-grown one, or a Republican, whether a baby Republican or a full-grown one, unless they speak my language. And my language starts and ends with remediation, restoration, and repair of my people. In other words, reparations. You're not talking that. Yo no comprendo. No habla inglés. I don't understand what the fuck you're saying. It don't make sense to me. So fam, thank you all. This has been a great Ask Me Anything. I'll commit to doing these once a month. And if it catches on, fuck, I'll do it twice a month. I might have my name on the channel, but this is our platform, fam. I hope you understand that. So if you haven't already become an angry black sheep, click the motherfucking subscribe button. Click the bell icon next to it. Make sure it's clicked so you get notifications when I go live, right? If you haven't done so already, black sheep, and you consider you might want to do it, and you can call it, consider supporting your man during the broadcast. You can do it via Super Chat. Otherwise, you can hit the Patreon one time per month. That's perfectly fine by me. And again, I know my audience. We ain't rich. So do what you can. But take care of family, house, and home first. And family, as always, I want to wish you all love, peace, prosperity, and power. Real power to our people.
You know, people complain about young black male unemployment. So then that leads people in to incarcerate them. You end up with black men being warehoused because black people pose the greatest genetic threat.